This time, challenging our King Yarand and Blues the Air is Tudback and Evil Diablo. So Tudback, definitely somebody who can hold their own in Offworld Trading Company. And then Evil Diablo has done quite well for themselves recently in the 1v1 tournament, Casuals 1v1 tournament, and as a good up-and-coming player. So, this one,
of course, 1v1 is a very different feel to FFA.
Yes, but, you know, anything can happen in an FFA.
Oh yeah, I mean, after all, people make the wrong moves, it turns into two people with a sub each, 1v1, you know?
What map we're on this time, as it is all locations have even probability, and it is finally an IO map. So hello everyone, welcome to the 5th game in the Offworld Kings FFA. This time we have Evil Diablo and Tudback trying to knock off Yaren off throne and Blues from 2nd place. So we have expansives, robots, scavengers, and elites. Now an elite on
hold
IO.
that, we don't have scavengers really. There is no carbon on this map, my god. Only a single medium, and everything else is just low.
Yeah, seems kind of doubtful that we're going to see a scavenger. The question is, will we see somebody trying to go for an elite with that ridiculously broken Pleasure Dome? It'd be a lot easier to get to the Pleasure Dome stage on IO.
I mean, there are definitely places with a good amount of silicon on this map, although the best spots for iron isn't near there.
Well, don't forget about the basalt.
Of course, that's very true, but there is so much uranium and aluminium double tiles up at the top left-hand corner. Someone's got to found there, surely, even though it's not really close to any ice or anything useful. Well,
if you're going to do that way, there's the uranium and iron double tiles next to a bunch of geothermal vents where Yaren's going to found as a robot.
Has been founded.
That's what I was saying, yeah. Steel did start very low as well, so an elite can definitely just try and found very, very quickly and just try and use that early. There we go. As Blues just did. There we go. That's what I was suggesting.
Yep, trying to crushing some silicon and then going into the basalt to get that iron and silicon needed. So, going to try to make that Pleasure Dome thing work. And Evil Diablo surprisingly going for this extremely space-constrained scavenger play.
I mean, they do have some advantages. They do have a lot of ice nearby, which I guess is one of their big strengths here. The only other person with good access to ice really is Tudback. But Tudback's ice is just better. I really like Tudback's location, actually.
Blues has 4 tiles of ice nearby. Yaren's the only one who has to go a very long distance for ice. Yaren already moving into HQ2 geothermal. Power is going insanely high. It is a power colony, we didn't mention that. So both offices and garages driving the price of power up.
And there is also a fuel. The colony is also consuming quite a decent amount of fuel as well, and fuel is one of the first things people like to get on IO because of the really cheap ion collectors. That's something that Blues has already set himself up for, and Diablo has set himself up for. Other two players, not so much. Yep,
Diablo going into a single nuclear plant. Could build a pair if they wanted to, taking advantage of the ridiculously cheap uranium price, but actually,
they don't.
I take that back. Doesn't have a claim.
As Blues, as I mentioned, is now going to go into double ion collectors, making some good money. Although Yaren might be happy about that, considering they're going to be making some power money very soon once they hit the upgrade and go for a second geothermal. Can't imagine them going for anything except a second geothermal here. There are so many geothermal spots.
Power that high and the ability to get geothermal borehole and maybe move out of into somewhere else. My question is, so Evil Diablo is probably going to want to try and rush some patents in HQ2 also, maybe teleportation, because otherwise they're extremely... Wait, there's no teleportation on IO, so I'm not sure what patents they're going to rush.
I think they've got everything they need really over there.
Just space.
Yeah, it's quite out of the way, but... I mean, there is also EMPs on the market that can very heavily punish that.
100% correct in Yaren going into a second geothermal plant right off the bat after upgrading. Tudback, HQ3, the third one. Do that, we haven't actually looked at them since they founded, but they have a nice little blob of robot production here, making use of adjacency bonuses, but great EMP targets.
Oh, yeah. That nuclear plant, I love that single nuclear plant placement, getting the 50% adjacency from the basalt platform and giving adjacency to the rest of the base. It's just a nice, cute little play that keeps him okay on power without any without raising his debt. He has actually managed to be the lowest debt player in the game, apart from Yaren, who's actively trying to pay it off, and Evil Diablo, who is also actively paying it off now with these nuclear plants. But that's a landslide.
It is a landslide. That just means that the few people that are actually in mines are going to have some trouble. Mines or quarries.
AKA Yaren. Just Yaren. Oh, I guess even Diablo. Yeah, it works on carbon forest as well, so yeah.
As well. Blue's struggling to get the HQ3 just a little bit.
Diablo's managed to make it to HQ4 already off the back of this power. Very, very scary in that respect. Already moving into greenhouse farms, which are going to be making a nice, tidy little profit, although immediately frozen.
Comes the EMP.
Meanwhile, Blues is still stuck at HQ2. I don't quite know what happened to them.
Elites are hard, especially when you don't go into steel and steel goes back up. They need a lot of it.
It looks like they spent a lot of steel on those nuclear plants, and then unfortunately other people just got the same idea and took out the power first. Blue's unfortunately sitting there with the most debt in the game at this point, and still practically just a basic level 2 HQ2 colony. Hasn't made any money really.
So the last entire transparent aluminum calling it right now.
Must be.
That's what you rush a patent lab for a scavenger as. Really cheap upgrades, just need aluminum, and but there's only one upgrade, but what it means is extremely cheap space elevators. Although the offworld prices are still very, very low. 220 is the highest.
But I mean, it gets you a much cheaper HQ5 as well.
Yep. Tudback going to upgrade to HQ4 anytime now. Blue's finally at HQ3. Struggling right now.
That Pleasure Dome's 10k more. Blues, can you afford that?
Yeah, well, the only two habitats right now. It's colonies deciding it's going to be more robotic, so that doesn't really help. So 2 entertainment demand from the...
Blues really wants this claim right now to try and get back into this game. They're having some issues there, although they do have carbon. They are one of the few people with some good carbon production. Tudback has carbon, but they're also spending it all on the chems.
Blues does get the auction. Only 39k in debt, so not bad at all. This patent lab's still staying offline for Evil Diablo because Evil Diablo keeps on getting frozen and doesn't have any cash to do anything.
Unfortunate for him, first one to get to HQ4, but then immediately gets shut out. Hasn't even started a patent yet.
No. We do have
money.
Yaren connecting up the geotherms, which are both gooned.
That would be very nice to go for some patents later on, I can imagine.
Yep.
Blues
Chem's actually pretty cheap.
Has the money for a Pleasure Dome at this point. Are they going to place it? That extra claim is huge for them. It's allowed them to put a double adjacent class kill next to each other there. Without that, they wouldn't be able to place their Pleasure Dome. I've got to assume they're making it, even though we have 2 robots in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the Pleasure Domes are so broken right now, so for elites.
I mean, it's annoying. It's very annoying for him that we've only got 2 habitats, so we can't get some good adjacency. But
no, not yet. So he's doing quite well there.
I mean,
Yaren,
looking at it, it's not broken, but
a sizable
it's good.
Cash lead over everybody. This is a little bit of a slower game.
Ooh, Blues did the Mutiny Goon Squads. Stopping Evil Diablo from having his patent lab. What's Blues spending it on though? Synthetic meat. That's an interesting choice. Blues perhaps does not care so much about this Pleasure Dome, otherwise he'd have gone into virtual reality off of that. Yeah, as we can see, he's spending his last claim on a solo water processor.
The not enough habitats at the colony, and 2 robots and a scavenger, so it makes sense why you might delay.
Perhaps, but now they've really not got any edge other than the fact that they're HQ4 elite. I mean, they've got some extra claims, I guess. I guess the carbon's really nice. They are one of the few that stuck into their ion condensers, and that is making
So Toodback ends up with the patent lab, and now it's finally, and I spoke too soon, it's finally back to Evil Diablo. Communities are now 20k.
That's got to be upsetting for him. I mean, he has managed to get transparent aluminium as a result of that, which is nice, but he had to spend a lot of money on that war. And he's now going to synthetic meat. He's almost got his upgrade though, because, well, aluminium's cheap.
Yep. Yaren, his first HQ5 though. Yaren's been sitting over here in the corner, mostly ignored until we have some EMPs raining down.
I mean, yeah, Yaren's had a lot of cash on hand. He could have probably gone into a buy on Evil Diablo if he wanted it, but decided no. I'm gonna let Diablo do his own thing. Right now, his territory is looking not very good.
Yep. Going for the upgrade does make sense. We do have a lot of prices on the board that are over 100.
Going to go for that long distance patent lab,
good.
Like.
Going for carbon.
Yeah, going for the carbons. My apologies. But he has got a patent lab on the way. I can only assume that's geothermal borehole. Geothermal borehole with ion collectors is so nice. And then he'll be able to actually use some pleasure domes, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, if advanced buildings other than optimization centers actually become good, like a space elevator or whatever, to definitely build it on top of the geothermal plants using geothermal borehole. And yes, geothermal borehole does come up. Evil Diablo is going to beat Blues to synthetic meat, but Blues is an elite, so doesn't care about it. It's just going to continue researching anyway.
Oh, that is something I did not realize. Because it is a foundry colony, only Blues is allowed to build pleasure domes. Didn't think about that. So yeah, Blues just has a free building for him, and oh, well then. Okay.
What the? I'm not
trading company, what the hell?
I think that's just a glitch. Blues should be able to build a pleasure dome.
No, Blues can build a pleasure dome, but he's the only one.
That's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Evil Diablo able to build a pleasure dome.
Oh, I'm seeing it locked out for everyone except Blues. But then a normal pleasure dome just turned up, and that is not an elite pleasure dome. Blues has got to be very unhappy about that.
The colonies don't matter in. You don't get the extra colonies in multiplayer. At least you shouldn't be. I'm just curious why there's this lock on Blues. So that must be some sort of display bug.
I've got a lock on everyone except Blues, so yeah, that's very weird.
So we're just a little display bug, probably from the new icons or whatever.
Must be because yeah.
Or if it's
there we go.
Plus, maybe.
Geothermal borehole has been finished on Yaren. He could definitely replace something with the pleasure dome there then and have 3 pleasure domes. That's always what I like to do when I've got geothermal boreholes. Although Blues is looking to place pleasure domes up themselves. They've actually cancelled the old pleasure dome so that they can build their own elite specific pleasure dome, which,
yes,
I mean, that's good, but at the same time it does consume chems. Which,
yeah, I mean, chems are 170, which isn't terrible for IO. Just want to say that Toodback right now quietly has the most amount of cash on hand, and is the only one with a... Okay, Blues has an optimization center as well, so 2 optimization centers on the board. Everybody else going for patents still as well. Yaren, Thinking Machines, Blues, Perpetual Motion, Evil Diablo, Liquid Batteries.
There just unfortunately isn't a lot of money to be made on the map right this second, as all of the prices are a bit awkward. Which is encouraging people to go into patents to try and make something out of it, but Toodback decides instead he's going to try and go for optimizations. Oxygen is definitely something that could be profitable, and he is going into that.
Yes, double solar condensers, and then Evil Diablo picking up liquid batteries momentarily will make their triangle of solar condensers quite profitable, 131 per tile.
Blues going for perpetual motion, Yaren going for thinking machines. I mean, Yaren definitely did not need the perpetual motion, and that's quite a boon for Blues.
Well, Blues wouldn't care. He's an elite. You just have to pay. Yaren would get half the chems back.
That's a very good point. Yep, that's absolutely true. But because he's the first one to actually research it, no one else is allowed the perpetual motion.
No, and then Blues will prevent Yaren from getting nanotech.
Our methods continue to
Just
improve.
barely. That's got to be upsetting for him right there. The robot really could do with that when they're no longer producing steel because it's no longer profitable to do so.
Toothback is the first one to move into a space elevator.
Surprising considering Evil Diablo space elevators are 20k right now.
Yeah, 20k space elevator is definitely probably worth it when it's 24k launches. Pay for it in one.
And half your buildings are offline because water processors are worthless right now.
Yeah, so a little bit surprising that that's not the case.
No, it's almost 50k difference in cost right there.
But look at the that Pleasure Dome from Blues is absolutely ridiculous.
It's frozen,
Yeah,
so it's making
but,
double the money it should be. But,
Oh, that's what's going on.
Space elevator is complete.
yeah, it's a
reporting the wrong
display
thing.
bug with X when it basically acts as if there's a -1 pleasure domes on the map or something like that. It's actually going to be
That's
700, which is still a lot of money.
That's the best single tile building on the map, I think.
Although Yaren can definitely take a huge chunk out of that profit with his own pleasure domes that he could be making very easily, but instead he has gone into his own space elevator at this point, along with Evil Diablo. Everyone getting the space elevators up at roughly similar times, but Tuvok was first. But being first to the space elevator isn't necessarily the best thing because the prices aren't that great still.
Well, in this case, so space elevators now cost 95k if you're a steel user, 59k for
Yes,
Evil
that's very
Diablo.
true.
So Toothback did get a great advantage in price on the first space elevator.
That is very true. And Blues is at this point squarely in D debt, 1k away from being in C.
Pretty close. What do the optimizations look like for Blues? Is going 100% of the way into electronics, wants that extra claim.
Going 100% into the oxygen, which is understandable, but there are other people making a lot of oxygen themselves. I'm fully expecting that price to fall quite rapidly.
Well,
soon.
once you have the third tick, you might as well go for perfect, so that way you at least get the claim out of it as an elite.
That's very true, especially with chems not being prohibitively expensive like they were in the last game.
Congratulations.
Only 168.
Toothback going into the second space elevator, undefended. Actually, both the Toothback space elevators are undefended because they have been attacked. Evil Diablo space elevator.
Yeah, looking at that black market though, things are getting quite expensive for everyone to be using in general. I'm surprised mules haven't been used yet, but other than that, the markets are expensive. So
Nothing
being
is
undefended might just play out.
terribly expensive. We do have Yaren muling some silicon though. But I mean, you know, all the base resources that you would collect outside of oxygen, which you can't use mules on, aren't that expensive. So it makes sense that the
I guess. I mean, it's one of those things though, where if you've got nothing else to use it on, I mean, you can still get some aluminium or silicon out of it.
we do still have kind of a passive game. Mostly those mutinies on the.
There's just not enough money in the game right now, unfortunately for people. This is a very, very weak space elevator map.
Weak space elevator map. The prices are finally at decent launches, 25k launches.
Yeah, there we go. That's the pleasure dome.
27.
Making 524 a second compared to the 1,000 it was saying it was making.
Yaren is loving this power situation that he's in right now.
Yeah.
Plus 700 in power and no life support costs on IO for the robot, other than the shipping.
Yeah. Blues is going into just finished actually superconductor right now. That's gonna stop the power price from rising any further. But Yaren's really enjoying this price right now.
Yep.
I would also like to point out as well just the sheer amount of stuff Tubac has saved up in his black market storage right there.
Yeah,
It's
that's
nice
a lot.
variety.
It's when Tubac decides that somebody needs to stop,
They will stop.
they will stop, and there's really no reason to do it too much with the price is so low. Although Blue's finally getting a decent amount of cash, but everything else
I see
neck and
one
neck.
reason why the power has been this problematic for a while is Il Diablo has not been also selling power this entire time with his double nuclear plants up and running.
The 2 nuclear plants and the little bit of power from the water processor, that's something that's so easy to forget because if you turn off auto selling,
Just been funneling all of that money into Yaren, unfortunately. Il Diablo finally getting up his second space elevator. He had transparent aluminium, he had such cheap elevators, and yet he only just now is he managing to get up that second one, and he's putting them adjacent.
Evil Diablo
very precious
was the one who got the
Our methods continue to improve.
the early EMPs, and they were very harsh on his territory because look at how compressed it is.
Oh my god, I just realized something. So, Silicon is up at 119 right now, and Blues is still sitting on a very high Silicon patch that he's not collecting from yet. But
He does have these 2 basalt platforms, though. Each of them is 0.75.
compared to the 2.5 on a single very high, you know. It's going to be difficult for... well, I guess space elevators do not cost silicon, they only cost aluminium for the elite. I always forget about that. So Yaren now goes into his second space elevator.
Blues has 428k cash on hand. The most amount. Tubac's deciding to go into Evil Diablo. So does Blues decide to go into Yaren then?
That's a tough choice. I mean, I would argue that Yaren is still very powerful on his own right now. I mean, he's not got as much money as other people. Tubac just lost and regained. Okay. And lost to Evil Diablo. Ooh, the mutinies. That's unfortunate for Tubac right there. 2 people deciding to gang up on him with those mutiny cooldowns. That's going to make it so Tubac can't easily deal with Evil Diablo. I think Blues now, with that opening, Blues could now definitely go into Yaren.
Yeah, I mean, 65% of the way to buy there on Yaren, and Yaren is a robot with 2 space elevators with the prices Offworld finally like 33k launches. That would be quite the good pickup, especially because for Blues to put up a space elevator, that's 72k.
Although I agree with what he's doing here, he's playing it patiently, he's going for the hacker array instead, that way he's going to be able to make his money so he can go for Yaren. If he goes for Yaren right now, he might just stall because he's the only one without any space elevators right at this point. Although his territory is looking pretty good, those 4 solar condensers really paying off for him. I'm very surprised that this oxygen is only at 90. I expect it to be a lot cheaper, although is it the launch? Yeah, it's the launch that would explain it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, oxygen had in high demand on world and off world. That will keep the prices up.
The black market is open.
Tudbac's purchase on Evil Diablo has stalled, but that mutiny 54 seconds. Evil Diablo's not quite getting enough cash from it.
I wish Evil Diablo would fix his territory. There we go, he is, okay. I was gonna say, he's got those nuclear plants still up right now and wasn't doing anything with them, and they still weren't auto-selling.
That's a lot of money fed over to Yaren.
A lot of money. Oh, Yaren is up. Oh, Blues could actually buy Evil Diablo if you wanted right now, but I think you should really go for the Yaren at this point. Diablo's territory is weak at best.
No reason not to, no reason to give Tudbac some, the free buy, half buy, I guess. Make Tudbac play with it. Blues is going to...
Although buying half of Evil Diablo at this point would give him 2 stocks in 2 back, which is something not to be underestimated. That is about 90k.
Yeah, I mean, so once this hack goes off, I expect we'll see Blues take out year-end. Here comes the shortage. Percentage is going to tick up to 100%. Blues has his pick of purchases.
Is just about to finish the buy on 2 back on Evil Diablo though at this point, so Blues is not going to have time to complete what he wants. Although, so yeah, he just goes straight to year-end. Yeah, okay. Not opposed to that decision.
Well, that means we did lose our king finally. Year-end with the longest reign of, what was that, 2 games in the king spot?
Mm-hmm.
It's quite impressive in an FFA, given if equal skilled players, you only have a 25% chance of actually winning any one game.
Looks like 2back sold out of his own hack way too early at this point. He could have made a lot more money than he ended up doing. I said that he was going to be able to get the buy on Evil Diablo before Blues could, but he sold out halfway through the hack.
Space elevator delivery. So much
halfway through the buy, yeah. Yeah, so 2back will pick up Evil Diablo right here, and then it'll be a race between Blues and 2back to end the game, and Blues will probably win that race with the head start.
I mean, you finally, it's been a very long time. The Elite has a bunch of extra claims as a result of the 4 extra claims, and also has the super hacker array, which allows them to short as well as surplus in the same time, which is just very tile efficient. And that Pleasure Dome is still making a good amount of money. Not as much as the space elevators, but still strong.
No, and then Blues has going to gain his 5th extra claim from optimizations.
Mm-hmm. His territory is looking very nice. Actually, it isn't. Those water processors are making very little at this point. The prices have finally all completely died for the most part. It is now a space elevator, as we expect on IO, with that 46k food launch and 46k oxygen launch right there.
Yeah, Blues has a quite ridiculous 12.13 power per second right now.
But yeah, Superconductor is going to do that, and it is worth mentioning something that 2back does have an advantage over is that 2back actually has space elevators. That is something Blues no longer has.
Right.
Well, never had it.
So 2back,
as I just said, it's a space elevator game now.
Space elevator advantage. Blues with the cash on hand and sub advantage.
Mm-hmm. He's also got stock in 2back that 2back doesn't have into him, but 2back is going to be able to make more money overall eventually. Although
if the game lasts that long, that's the question.
Yeah, this is one of those times where 110k mutiny is worth it for Blues. Or just 70k.
51k launches, yeah, you can make that back.
The black market is
almost
you
back.
You could just barely make that back, and more importantly, 2back doesn't get any of that money.
Yep. Although maybe you buy a 70k freeze first, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it does look like Blues is going to slowly...
Yeah, he has the better subsidiary
by far. And not to mention selling out of his own stock just to undo that Offworld advantage.
Unfortunately, Evil Diablo, as a subsidiary, went into 4 steel mills, and his territory was just not good. He didn't go into the optimizations quite like the rest of the players. His optimizations are all in life support, which never really got too high.
Yeah, Blues will finish the game
is great.
Right here, right now.
Yep. He can even sell below that fifth point. There we go. There's that buy on 2back.
The Blues regains the king spot. Year-end falling out of Offworld Kings and Evil Diablo, a worthy contender but not able to stay to the next game. 2back sticks around as a second place player.